Sure. Now that the wedding is over, you get back to adoring me. Sure. I was in my dressing room and heard the applause and rushed right out here. Seems to be a show going on. Well, you sound great tonight. You're going to make up, and I mentioned this before, I do not like to discuss the previous night's audience.
Yeah.
But last night, it was a not too bright a group. Give you an idea, the applause sign lit up. A guy in overalls turned over and said, "We should have gone before, Ma. Now it's occupied." Hello, Tom. How are you tonight?
Okay.
A little quieter tonight than last night, eh? Tommy had an exciting evening last night after the show. He and his dog watched a Lauren Green commercial and tried to figure out how old they were. Big night. A lot of people from out of town on vacation, I'm sure, right? Okay. Want to help you save money, right? Things are expensive, but right here in the Valley, you don't have to go into Hollywood to see all the exciting things. We're right here in the Valley. Have you been to Al Tepler's Snail Jungle? The way that works is Al takes you out to his driveway and lets your kid feed a lettuce leaf to Shamu, the killer slug. And after the show, you don't have to go into... Now, not that there's anything wrong with Chasen's or places like that. They're fine restaurants. But right out here, Burbank has its own famed restaurant row. And I went to a new Mexican restaurant last night. Vaya con Melox. And it wasn't the best Mexican restaurant. It's a tip-off when you see the little speed bumps between your table and the men's room. I knew I was in trouble last night right after dinner. The maitre d' came over with the after-dinner drink list. Recommended a Healy's MO71. It's a good vintage. Well, let's go to the news and see if Cindy Garvey is happy to get Steve out of the house. Yeah. The strike is over. Baseball. Baseball, I think it starts next week. Have they not rescheduled the All-Star game?
Yes.
I think a week from when? A week from Monday?
Sunday.
Week from this Sunday, yeah. And fortunately, Fernando Valenzuela has kept his arm in shape. He's been up in Northern California swatting Mediterranean fruit flies. Things are going good. You can tell the season's getting ready to start again. Today they just rolled the tarpaulin off Howard Cosell's toupee. I know the Dodgers are going to be ready. They went to Dodger Stadium today for scratching practice. Baseball players do, have you noticed? Scratch a lot. Yeah, move it around in there. Hey, and the camera is always right on them. You know what I'm going to miss? I'm going to miss the minor league baseball players. I mean, I got caught up in the pennant race between two minor California clubs. You had the Fresno Fruit Flies and the Inglewood Illegals. I'm sorry I got caught up in that. I have some kind of sad news to report.
Uh-oh.
Well, look, we have to cover it all. As you know, the circus is in town today. Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey. It's a great circus, but tragedy today struck the human cannonball act, the flying garbanzos. Let me tell you what happened. Armando. This is tragic. Armando Garbanzo was found dead with a head wound. Apparently he was cleaning his cannon and didn't know there was a cousin in there. Their sword swallower is on the Beverly Hills diet. Yeah, 3 times a day he swallows a Cuisinart. Weird instead of a sword. Well, let's go to some Armando Garbanzo. I love that. Mayor Tom Bradley, whom I like. He's a good mayor. He is campaigning for the governor of California. And last night he spoke to a dinner of 300 retired LAPD officers, and Mayor Bradley really rehearsed his speech. As a matter of fact, yesterday morning he spent 3 hours with an elocution teacher learning how not to say police. But it was, a little humor there. According to the polls, Mayor Bradley has a good chance of winning. That would make him the first black governor, I think, in about 100 years. You know, the way things are changing, who knows? One day we may even have a white basketball player. See, people always consider New York the melting pot, right? But look at California. Our mayor is black. We have senators, Japanese. Our governor's a Mooney. No, Jerry's not a Mooney. A little humor there, Governor. Orson Welles was in the news today. He is suing the Paul Masson Company. Oh. Yes, because according to Orson, he wasn't paid for his last commercial. Uh-huh. And the president of the company said, "We will mail no check before it's time." For the last month, or 2 weeks, especially this last week, the big news was the marriage of Prince Charles and Lady Di, right? In the paper today, there was another big marriage in San Diego. Now, this is absolutely true. You from San Diego? Did you hear about this couple? Gloria and Howard Marsh, I think. Gloria and Howard Marsh were married in a hot tub. The ceremony was held in a hot tub. They were nude, and all the wedding guests were nude. Now, only in Southern California would something like that. They say we're not a little strange out here? Well, how nude? Well, let me put it this way. A nude is nude. I mean, the ceremony took 3 hours, 5 minutes actually for the ceremony, and the rest of the time was to try to determine who was the best man. But the actual ceremony... Some other happy show business news. Singer-songwriter Paul Williams. No. Y'all know Paul Williams? Yeah, he made the Lady Di haircut famous before there was a Lady Di, right? Became the father. He had a son, I think, Tuesday, which I think is kind of nice. And there was a typical scene in the delivery room when the doctor picked up the little fellow and spanked him, and Paul said, "Would you mind putting me down? I'm the father." Anyway, tonight, we got a great show for you. The Mighty Carson Art Players will be performing tonight. Yeah, sure. I think we have a spokesman, do we not, for the Hospitals of America? Yes. And we have Miss Angie Dickinson is here. And Mr. Dom DeLuise is here. Yes, sir. Thank you, Thomas. Another Friday night crowd. Seems a shame that the royal couple's out of the news. That was an exciting week, wasn't it? Yes. Yeah, they're at their castle called Broadlands.
Yes.
Then they're going on the yacht Britannia? Yes. Or Britannica or Britannia?
Britannia, I think, right? Britannia? One or the other. That's the biggie.
Well, Britannica's an encyclopedia.
Right.
I know they didn't. I know they didn't sail on an encyclopedia. No. They went on a boat.
No need.
Not a boat, a yacht.
A yacht.
Yeah. My first guest, what can I tell you about her? She's an extremely talented actress. Beautiful. Miss Angie Dickinson.
Yeah.
Animals. Little decorum, please.
It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, does that, you know, in New York, for example, some of the women complain, I guess it happens out here, they walk down where they're constructing the new buildings, and the construction workers, I guess, whistle and yell and so forth, and some of the feminists get very aggravated at that. And yet I would guess, I can't speak for all women, but I would guess a whistle or somebody is a compliment, isn't it?
Oh, I think it's wonderful.
As long as they don't become, you know, enraged.
There. Yeah, you know, there's one thing that I always wonder, though. I like to wave back, but what if they're not whistling at me? And I've been caught that way. I turn around and I see this thing following me, and I know why they're whistling.
And, but you can tell. You can tell.
Usually. If you look good, you know they're whistling at you. I had a terrible thing happen to me today. Ed walked in when I was at the beauty shop
that's
getting
awful.
ready for tonight.
Now, wait a minute. I went to visit.
Oh, sure.
The famous. No.
Sure.
There's a.
Sure, the old hair touched up a little bit,
for the
eh?
record. My driver and I last night were driving home. We were talking. He said, "You know, I would give Angie a 12 and a half." I said, "I'd give her a 14." Now, let me tell you, I happened to go in today to see this gentleman and meet him because he's become a celebrity in his own right. He's the super snipper. He does Farrah Fawcett and
I know
Cher.
a rabbi who has that same.
That's right. That's why I said it, because I knew you'd have that joke.
Rabbi Goldfarb, yes.
Right. Super snipper. Anyway, Jose. Anyway, I walk in, and in the chair where my wife is going to go is this one. And what she's trying to do is hide her face because she's in rollers. Now, let me tell you, this girl in rollers, any one of us that has blood in our veins would take her in a second. You look awfully good in rollers, let me tell you.
Methinks thou dost protest too much about being in a beauty parlor.
I just told the story, that's all.
Simple.
But she was hiding, you know.
He did get the salon worked up. They were thrilled to see you.
Well,
But I was so embarrassed. So I got that out of my
Does that
system.
bother you because you had rollers in your hair?
Yes, I think it's the worst way a woman
I've
can
seen
be
you with
caught.
rollers in your hair.
What was that?
Yeah.
You've never been to a beauty
Wait a
parlor.
minute.
When was that?
Wait a minute.
What?
One night in your dressing room, I came a little early, and just
Why did you do that? You never go visit the guests before the show. Why were you late coming out tonight?
For the same reason I will be late next week, I'll be looking for a new announcer. That's why. Now, the reason I dropped in, you know, I usually knock on and say hello, and I went early and she had it, and you did the same thing. Yeah.
You betcha, but you didn't tell them what else I had on.
Okay. Really.
I don't. You don't mind being caught anyway, except with rollers. That's
Yeah.
at least I think most. Right?
I feel the same way.
No, no, they don't fit well. I look horrible.
Feel the same way.
Anyway, okay.
What's the difference? If somebody says you're sexy or somebody says you're sensual, what's the difference? You know?
I don't know the.
Sensual sounds much more of a character.
Sounds
Sexy
longer
has more.
lasting.
Yeah, well, I think we're all for that. But I think sexy probably has to do with more of an exterior, and sensual has to do with the personality combined with the looks. Would that be a fair description?
That's a very good description. Yes, I think sexy is usually more.
Cheesecakey. I mean,
Yes,
somebody says
spunky
cheesecakey.
kind
Yeah.
of. As you say, outward. I'm all for either.
Yeah.
Or both.
Who to you as a woman has a sensuality when you see other pretty ladies? Sophia Loren?
You know, Julie Christie, I always think is very sensuous.
Yeah, she does have a quality about her.
Sophia Loren? Oh, yes.
Yeah. Kind of an earthy quality.
Suzanne Summers is sexy.
Yeah, more sexy than, and I'm just
We
not a
don't
put
know
down.
if she's sensuous, but she comes off sexy.
Ellen Hamill is sensual.
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe we don't know Ellen. There's the Alpha Beta commercials, and I find Alan extremely sensual. When he's talking about those Wednesday sales, you know.
Well, you could do the same about about men. It's hard to define.
Yeah.
But suddenly to think of them, I'll go home tonight and think of 100 women that I think are sensuous.
Well, how about men? Now, without getting you in trouble,
Yeah.
I mean, but you've worked with most of the leading men in Hollywood, or a lot of the actors.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you find to be attractive to you?
All of them.
What do you mean? Now, come on, you can't literally mean that. You got to meet a real clod somewhere along the line, I'm sure.
Well, that is a tough answer, but I tell you the one that, since we're on the subject and my subconscious is on the sensuous,
Yeah.
one of the most sensuous men I've worked with is Robert Mitchum.
Bob Mitchum,
He
yeah.
is sensuous. He walks and
It's
breathes.
the eyes,
and,
it's the eyes. He's got that deep brooding, brooding quality.
He's a good example to me of sensuous.
Anybody else?
Anybody?
Hate a man who begs and whimpers, but no, we've known each other too long for you to look at me in that capacity. Right?
I've been looking at Robert Mitchum a long time, too.
That's true.
Sure, I think you're sensuous. You're
Well, now, you
sexy.
see, I
You're
just- I
cute.
pushed you
get
into
out
that.
there in those little shorts, in your little skits, and you're adorable.
I don't want to be adorable. I want to be brooding and sensual. That's all I get is an adorable cute. Men don't like to be called cute. Would you like to be called cute?
Well, I'd take it over a few others, but I prefer. But cute is one of your. Did I get out of that one?
Yeah, you're getting out of it.
Cute's one of your. You are cute. Sorry.
Well, that's nice. Thank you.
You're stuck with it.
Well, such is the burden we go through life with. Mr. Cute will be back in just a moment. Angie, Miss Sensual. Okay, we were talking about... We're talking about different kind of men and men who are attractive and sensual and so forth. And I look up and I see a gentleman over here. I'm going to ask him to come in because the baseball season. Here's Tommy Lasorda. Tommy, come in here. Come on. Hello, sensual. How you doing? Sit down over there for a second. Didn't have anything else to do, huh, Tom? Just hanging around studios?
That's right.
Waiting for the baseball season.
That's right. I'm so happy we got the news early this morning that baseball is going to be back on the playing fields again, and I'm just excited.
That's great.
Yes.
That is great.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Yeah, everybody loses in the long run with the strikes, and I guess the fans most of all, right?
That's right. And it's just sad to see that the fans were deprived of the game because, you know, I've said this many times that a guy who works hard all week trying to earn a living, raising a family, that he can take a family of 5 to Dodger Stadium and buy 5 general admission tickets for $10. And he needs a vehicle for relaxation and entertainment. And when we've taken that away from him, he is the guy who has supported us and made it possible for us to enjoy the lucrative living that we are establishing right now in baseball. So I'm happy to see it for the fans, and above all, I'm happy to see it for the youngsters. Now they're getting to see their heroes again.
When's the first home game here now?
We're going to play Cincinnati on the 10th.
10th of August, right?
That's right. They're going to play the All-Star game on Sunday the 9th. And play Cincinnati. Our first game will be here for a 3-game series. Yeah. Imagine starting the second half and playing Cincinnati. What a great series that's going to be.
You going to start Fernando? You know yet?
If he doesn't pitch in the All-Star game, he probably will be the starter.
That's been a remarkable story, hasn't it, that young man?
Unbelievable.
Say his name.
Yeah, Fernando Valenzuela.
You got it.
Oh, Tommy, hablo español muy bien. See?
I've never seen anybody make an impression, an impact in the baseball world like he has. He's just a fine young man. He's very, very personable, and I'm really happy for him.
Now, you've been... what have you been doing? You've been doing on the lecture circuit or what?
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of speaking.
It looks like you've lost some weight.
Yes, I've been working hard at it. I've been doing a lot of jogging, and I finally discovered what jogging is doing for this country now, Johnny. You know, when the guys have heart attacks and die now, they're in good shape. But years ago, when the guy dropped over, he was out of shape. Now the guy goes, the guy goes now, and they pass the cough, and they say to the guy's wife, hey, he looks good. She said he ought to look good. He was doing 4 miles a day. And this is what I'm striving for.
You want to go looking great. Absolutely.
Yeah, I want him to say when it hits me, I want him to say to Joe, my wife, Tom really looked good.
Is your wife as happy as this strike is over as you are?
Oh, yes.
Huh? Come be honest now.
Definitely.
I've heard some of the baseball wives saying, oh, I hope this ends soon. Because that's tough.
That's right. It's really tough because you're used to a certain way of living and a certain routine, and then when
Right.
that's taken away from you, you just don't know what to do. And I went out and saw a Little League game the other day,
Right.
and I was looking for an umpire to holler at. I needed that. You know, you need that fix. I just had to get on some guy.
Got to scream a little
The
bit.
guy
You
said,
can't-
we don't have any umpires. I said, you got any retired ones? I don't care. Just give me an umpire.
Bring a stranger. Let me yell at somebody.
That's right. All I want to do is scream and holler at someone.
Hey, you're looking great. I hope it's a great season for you.
Thank you, John, and we really appreciate all the support you give us here.
Our pleasure. Thank you, Tom.
She's a great
See you
Dodger
later.
fan.
We'll take a break. We'll be right back. We'll be back in a minute.
Tonight's trombone. Hospitals are frequent targets of criticism because of what is seen as their indifference to patients, the greed, and the inefficiency. The Tonight Show has invited a representative of the hospital industry to respond to these charges and to defend hospital policies. We switch you now live to a major medical center and hospital spokesman G. Walter Schneer.
Hello, I'm the official spokesman for the National Organization of Hospitals, known as the Society of Professional Emergency Care, Internal Medicine, and Efficient Nursing, or as we call it, Specimen. Now, as a spokesman for the nation's hospitals, I'd like to respond to some of the nasty charges hurled at us by a few disgruntled patients. They say we're indifferent, callous, greedy, inefficient, and incompetent. Well, I'm proud to say that we're all of that and much more. If you don't like it, next time you need brain surgery, you just trot down to Earl Scheib. You know, one of the primary factors in rising hospital costs is the increase in lawsuits against us by disgruntled patients. Here's a good example right here of one of those nuisance lawsuits. Now, this man here was a patient in one of our coronary care units. Now, it seems that he was supposed to have been given this, digitalis. But one of our nurses made a small mistake. He was actually given this, vitalis. That's right, vitalis. Now, this crabby crybaby claims that his heart was irreparably damaged by this little slip-up. I say this is nonsense. I have here an x-ray of this man's heart. As you can plainly see, it's very well groomed. It's greedy winebags like these who keep your medical costs high. Now, some say that all hospitals are concerned about is making money. Poppycock. A sick person who is not able to pay will receive the same high quality of medical care in our charity ward, like this gentleman coming in here. There you are. You take 2 of these and you call me in the morning. Right into the dumper with that one. A lot of people ask, and rightfully so, can you explain what a bypass operation is? I certainly can, but it's rather involved, so I'm going to employ some visual aids. Now, it's a Wednesday afternoon. The doctor, of course, is playing golf. On the way to the 16th green, he runs over a caddy. The doctor sees that the caddy is seriously injured and in need of emergency operation. But the doctor's in a hurry to get to the clubhouse and knock back a few, so he bypasses the operation and plays on through. Hope that answers that nagging little question. Now, many people complain that it costs a lot today to stay in a hospital. Well, that's true. But you must understand that our costs are rising like everybody else's. For example, in 1974, a simple thermometer cost us $2.75. Today, $5.95. The stethoscope used to be $65. We now have to pay $110 for this. And don't forget, the doctor's most important piece of equipment, a stacked nurse. Now, a chippy like this could set a sawbones back about 800 big ones a week. And, of course, we are forced to pass these costs on to you, the medical consumer. Nurse Noonerstein, I think they're paging you in the doctor's lounge right now. There's a good example of perfect health. We often hear the complaint that hospital employees are cold, indifferent, and even heartless. Again, that's completely unfounded. We suffer right along with our patients and your loved ones. For example, I was just informed a moment ago that a Mr. Tobias Frickner has passed away in the emergency room, and now it's my heavy responsibility to inform his wife of this tragic event in a diplomatic way. Would you send in Mrs. Frickner, please? It's a pleasure to meet you, Widow Frickner.
Widow? I'm not a widow.
Well, I suggest you go in this room and read the tag on your husband's toe. Look at it this way, Mrs. Strickner. It's one less egg to fry. Now, you know, you can always count on your hospital to provide you with 24-hour emergency care. Now, here's obviously an emergency case now. The man is choking to death, obviously something in his throat. Now, this calls for immediate medical attention and the use of a special medical technique. What we do, we stand behind the individual, lock our hands in front of his solar plexus like so, turn his head slightly to one side. Now, the most important step of all. You have Blue Cross. Okay, get out of here. Vaya con Dios, pal. You know, the biggest controversy in the medical field today is when exactly does death occur? Well, why don't you follow me to our intensive care unit and I'll show you how we determine when death occurs. Now, here you see a man on a life support system. As we can see, his heart is functioning normally. And as we can tell here by the electroencephalogram, his brain is also functioning normally. So by these two criteria alone, the brain and the heart, this man cannot be considered dead. However, we also employ a third and even more important criterion: the hospital bill. This man is 4 days behind in his payment, so we consider him legally dead. Very often they say cack when they die. There's another complex moral issue which we in hospitals have to face each and every day. Well, you'll excuse me now. I have to run down to Skid Row and steal blood from some sleeping winos. This is Irving R. Levine. I'm in front of the White House. No, wrong person. My next guest, have you ever worked with Dom in a picture?
No, I wish I had.
He's truly a fine comedy actor, and he's going to be performing at the Aladdin in Las Vegas August the 6th through the 9th, and he's in 2 new movies, the Mel Brooks picture, The History of the World Part 1, and Cannonball Run, the Burt Reynolds picture. Would you welcome Dom DeLuise? As of Yeah, I know.
Yes.
I figured why not.
Why not?
As of 12 minutes ago, showtime,
Yes.
you had a birthday.
Yes, it's my birthday
Happy
right
birthday.
now, August 1st.
Happy birthday.
Yay!
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. You like birth? Is that for good luck or is that a superstition?
Oh, it's good. No, it's good luck if you don't want to waste any. You know. What I
That's
mean?
right. Yeah. Do you, as you get older,
As I get older.
do birthdays depress you? A lot of people don't want to hear about their birthdays. They say
Of course. Are you kidding?
it means we're one final step.
I just got a new car, and my son. We were sitting in the new car, the smell of the leather and everything, and my son said, "Oh, Dad, this is great." And he said, "When you die, can I have this car?" I says, "I'll give you the keys now." You know what I mean?
Are you kidding?
Yes, I just went, "Ew," you know.
But
it's a funny
he
thing.
said that with humor, I'm sure.
No, he's 14. He needs a car.
But you never think about it. Well, we all think about it occasionally.
Sure.
Nobody wants to leave, but does it bother you when you think about it?
It does. It does. That's one of the reasons I lost a little weight, because I was going condo, you know. I tell you, last night I was watching Sylvester Stallone, and he talked about Rocky 1, Rocky 2, Rocky 3, and I made a picture called Fatso. If I make Fatso 2, and I thought the third one would be called Look Out!
Yeah,
You know.
get out of the way.
Yeah. Yeah,
You're not
so
on
it does work.
You're not on the diet again, are you?
Yeah, but that's all right. I got it. Yeah, sure. I have clothes like Jackie Gleason. I just moved down one. You know.
3 separate wardrobes? Yeah.
Sure.
Did you watch the royal wedding?
I watched the wedding.
Yeah.
But you know, you were talking about sexy. What is sexy? In the dictionary, sexy is shrewd and cute and bow-legged. Isn't that what that means? Because she was...
Bow-legged? Cute?
It is. Cute and bow-legged. Hello. Remember me? I'm a personal friend of John's.
No, I didn't know that was part of the description.
Yeah.
Cute, bow-legged.
All right. The wedding was thrilling because you watch this wedding, and then, naturally, I've been married 15 years, but I thought of my wedding. You know what I mean? Didn't you think of your wedding? When you saw them waving and smiling with this wonderful part, I mean, Prince Charles can part his hair, boom, like that, you know? And I don't do that. You were talking about rollers. I'd love to get one roller in my head.
Just,
you know what I mean? Who gives? I don't care. If you want
Just to
see
have
me in
enough to
rollers, I'll
roll
put
up,
on
huh?
rollers. I mean, I couldn't find the hair to do it.
how did it remind you of your own wedding? You mean
Well,
just,
I mean, in other words, I watched them. I watched how they got to the wedding, the transportation. When I got married, they said, "Do you want us to send the car for you?" I said, "No. I'll get there. It's only 49th Street. I'm 55th. Don't worry." I went outside. It was drizzling. I'm in New York. I'm trying to get a cab. And
You took a cab to your wedding?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it wasn't exactly like the royal wedding. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, I took a cab, and I was trying to get a cab. I couldn't get a cab. So I stopped the guy in a tuxedo, and I'm holding the paper over my hand. I said, "I'm going to get married." He says, "Do you know speak English?" I said, married, you know. And he said, "Hey."
Only in New York. Hey,
New York.
sure. Same to you too,
I finally
fella.
got
Yeah.
there. I gave a guy $3 and he got me to the wedding, you know. And then you remember the dress that, well, you must have remembered. Did you see the
She had a
Lady Di?
25-foot train.
I never saw so much material. She's a little girl. The dress would have been perfect for me.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? It was so many, wasn't it a lot of material? It really was. Oh, it was beautiful. Oh, it was lovely.
Ivory, what was it that you would know? Taffeta, ivory, I don't know.
Ivy taffeta. Sure.
You remember her, Ivy?
Yes, well, those things, you know, you use them a lot. You cut them off and you go to balls with those.
Did your bride have a train? Did she wear a train?
No, my wife borrowed her wedding dress from her sister-in-law, and we gave it right back the next day. It had mothball smell.
But that's sentimental.
It is. It's very sentimental. Thank God it fit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you know that cake they had at the wedding, the big cake, but boom, the
You know what that cake cost? I read. I couldn't believe it.
Over $100. I don't know if there was a
They
prize.
said $40,000.
For the cake?
For the cake.
For the cake, what a waste! At my wedding, everybody ate good. There was 2 sausage sandwiches for everybody. Do you know what I mean?
Celery tonic?
with peppers and onions. Delicious. You know, when you bit into that, you had to open your legs, though, because the grease would run down your But it wasn't $40,000.
You're talking high-class wedding.
It wasn't. And the Queen Mother, don't you love her when she comes out? She looked like she had an electric hat. It just kind of, you know, her hat was going like that, you know? Now, it was wonderful.
They're big on hats.
My mother, no hat.
No
My mother's beautiful, about this big. All of her hair is pulled back in a bun.
Right.
That's filled with meatballs. Do you know what I mean?
In case she got hungry at the wedding.
In case she got hungry,
Sure.
right away, she'll make something for you. Oh, it was nice. I rented my tuxedo from Barney's Boys Town.
I'm not sure. That's a big place.
You know. It was, I must admit
Well, in
that I
those
really
days,
enjoyed it.
most people didn't own a tuxedo.
No,
You
I
rented it.
didn't.
You went out somewhere, you rented one for the night.
Yeah, I got one later. I got a tuxedo, a real tuxedo of my own later.
Now, Prince Charles and Lady Di are staying at their castle, and then they're going on a yacht that has a crew of 226 sailors.
Big ship.
That's the crew.
My wife and I also, when we got married, a huge boat. We took the Staten Island ferry. Round trip. Round trip.
Where did you honeymoon?
We honeymooned at the Plaza, actually.
Plaza Hotel.
The
Well,
Plaza
that's
Hotel.
very high class.
We didn't stay long, but I mean, it was. They put it said Mr. and Mrs. DeLuise in there with double-faced tape. They put it on the door. It was kind of nice.
That's sweet. Was it the bridal suite or just...
The bridal suite. As soon as we got into the room, my wife called up a friend and said, "What are you doing tonight?" What are we going to do with all that lotion? You know, oh, God.
Sure. Did you court long before you...
I didn't court long. I didn't
It's an
have
old-fashioned
time.
word, isn't it? Court.
Courting.
Courting.
Courting is a nice word. I mean,
I like that.
I had the feeling that I was courting, Carol.
Yeah.
I asked her to marry me. She answered very quickly, fast. Asked me to marry you.
Would you marry me?
Yes.
Just
That's how fast I said, ooh, you know.
Desperate time.
Did I really want him? And I wanted her to say, no, let me think about it, you know. She said yes right away. I said, okay, let's go, you know.
Yeah, well, women usually decide those things. The men think
She
they
knew
are.
before me,
Of course,
absolutely.
Of course.
When you, how many,
It's all yours. Don't talk to me either.
Nice being married, isn't it?
Yes.
Sure, and who says, will you marry me?
Usually the man.
The man, right. Well, how many said yes to you? Yes. I mean, how many men said, do it, let's go? How many times have you been married?
How many men have asked me to marry them?
Yeah.
Oh, very few.
Very few. So the ones who asked you got an answer.
You want to lock up all the...
No. Oh, I'm sure everybody wants to know.
No, I know what you mean.
Well, I mean, how many times have you been married? I don't know. I don't even...
Twice.
Twice. That's not a lot. You beat that.
What is this, a game show? What are you running, a game show here? Let's see if you can beat this marriage. Yes, here's Mr. Oscar Madden of Encino, been married 9 times. What kind of a game show is this? So you've been married once?
Once.
Once.
Yeah, I'm
that's
going to get
nice.
it right. Oh, it's hard. It's hard. Thank God.
Not on your life. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to Beat Your Marriage. What were you doing? What was your job when you...
I was on a television show.
Did you have any money?
No, not a lot of money.
Yeah.
My rent, I was living in a place, a cold water flat, $37 a
Is there ever a hot... Can I ask you
Yeah.
something? Is there ever a hot water flat?
A hot water flat, no.
I've had more people on the show, and every time they live in New York, it's always a cold water flat.
You never saw a cold water flat.
Of course I've seen them.
You have hot water, it's just that there's no heat, is what it is.
I see, okay.
And there was a
I
bathtub
wasn't being
in the-
facetious. I didn't know.
You have to heat your own thing. In the morning, I would wake up, 6 o'clock, and I would bake a potato. Not because I wanted a potato. I mean, you just had to light the oven because it
You
was
had to
so
heat the
cold
room,
in there,
right.
yeah. And there was a tub in the kitchen.
Yes.
A tub, and that was, you put things on it. There was a piece of wood over it. My mother saw that, she said, oh, mother. She didn't like that, a tub, you know what I mean?
Yeah, in the kitchen, you mean?
In the kitchen. But then I got a nice place, and then I told my wife to come and we had like a room, a bathroom, and a regular apartment. It was great. Yes, sir.
What'd you have to pay for that now?
And now I was paying $37 a month for that cold water flat. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
That's what I get my teeth filled for now. You know what was interesting? When I was in a Broadway show, an off-Broadway show with Barbra Streisand, our take-home pay was $37.50 a week. Yeah, but I was so happy then. No problems, you know?
Right.
You just knew. You ran with the landlord, here's the money. You know what I mean? You just baked the potato every morning, you were all right.
Yeah.
It was good.
Potato to the tub to the theater, back again.
Happy days. Do you think that? I don't mean to drop you out of this. I mean,
That's all right.
It's just that...
But you look at her like she's lived in a cold water flat.
Haven't you ever been in a cold water flat once?
No.
One night? Oh. The thing about the young days, the early days, didn't you love the young, lean days?
Of course.
Yeah, that was so exciting.
Of course. Because the challenge...
Isn't it her turn to talk? We're going to ask her about... Did you ever see a cold water flat?
No, or a walk-up.
Or a walk-up? Mm-hmm. What the hell have you been doing all your life?
But that's only in New York and London, right?
Yeah, but
Not
you've
in
seen
California.
walk-ups.
Look, I lived in New York for 17 years.
Then you walked up someplace once in a while.
Many times.
This woman's been spurled.
But in California, we walk out, not up.
Yes, out to the car and then, you know, in an elevator.
Right. Did you have a car in those days?
No car, no.
Right.
In New York?
Yeah.
No.
Well, you don't really need one if you live in
No,
New
just
York.
the subway. But the subways were safe then. Now, I recently took my sons in the subway, and there's writing. Everybody sprays their name, and you know, what they tell the country what to do with themselves. It's awful.
That's terrible.
It's scary.
You really miss those days, or are you just being nostalgic?
When I go to New York, it's very exciting because the city is alive, you know? I mean, you could get in trouble just walking down the street. You know, people...
You find that exciting?
Yeah, but I have a cure for that. You know, like I said, if you're in a city where you're worried about getting mugged,
yeah,
and you see like a bunch of guys walking toward you, I just, can I do it? Here's what I do. I walk like this, and I see the guys, I get real scared, and I go, oh, hey, get out of here. Now, how many times did you, yeah? Oh, yeah? Well, then, all right, come on, you. Get away from me. And they just... Be back in a moment.
Well, the old clock on the wall just fell off the wall. You realize that this hour has sped by?
It really has.
Just like that.
Wow, what a wonderful time we had.
Didn't we, though?
Yeah. Now Bob Hope comes in and does a monologue, right?
Is Bob working tonight?
No.
Sometimes, sometimes Bob does when he does his specials, comes in and the audience stays, but I don't think he's taping this week. Anyway, it's good to see you again.
It's good to see you. I'm going to the circus tonight with my kids on my birthday.
I love circuses, don't you?
I do. I like it. I like all that stuff.
Give my sympathies to the Garbanzo family. I'm humbled by that applause.